Hello and welcome to Two Trees Gaming. There's a brand new model been revealed today, and more importantly, we now know how army building works. I also know that there's a load of leaks going around all over the internet, but if you want to keep your starter set and your 14th of December spoiler free, you're in the right place. There's loads of other good channels covering the leaks, so definitely go and check those out if that's what you're after. Let's talk about some army building. It's essentially what we expected in that it's very similar to the old Legendary Legion format, and I'm going to read from the Warhammer community article and let you know exactly what it says. In the past, you could field characters together who never fought alongside each other in the established lore of the movies and books. This led to armies which did not fully represent the world of Middle-earth, something that we've tackled in the new edition. We've improved internal balance, and there's much more strategic decision making involved when picking your list. You can't just tack Rohirrim, Aragorn or the Witch King to any army to cover your weaknesses anymore. In theory, this is great. We now have a set list of models tailored to fit a specific scene in the film or moment in Middle-earth. You get more broad lists like the Legions of Mordor, which we're going to tackle later, which will have minimal special rules, and you can kind of pick from it in the same way you'd pick from an old-fashioned army list. And then there's hyper-focused Legendary Legion style lists, like one about riding out from Helm's Deep that we're going to look at in just a second as well. Army list building is one of the key pillars of the Middle-earth strategy battle game, and there's good things and bad things about this new way of building. But firstly, it's definitely going to be more thematic. You can't argue with that. There's definitely going to be more themey lists on the table, and that's a good thing, especially from a new player's point of view, but even from a veteran player's point of view like myself. I would much rather test my wits against a themey army and tell a story as we play. And then even if I'm losing, I'm still enjoying the experience. And theme and power or theme and strategy aren't mutually exclusive. We can have themey lists that are powerful. Hopefully that's what we're going to see a lot more of. I don't love that not every themey list is going to be catered for. And I know it would be difficult for them to do, but for example, we've got the Ride Out list. That's Theoden, Aragorn, Legolas, Gamling and Royal Guard riding out from Helm's Deep. Awesome. I'm pretty confident there'll be a Riders of Éomer list, which is going to be Gandalf the White with Éomer charging down to save them essentially. What you can't do though, or I'm assuming you can't do, is have Gandalf the White, Éomer, Aragorn, Legolas, Royal Guard, Theoden and do a full relief of Helm's Deep list. That's just one example I'm thinking of. I'm sure there'll be lots more where it is actually thematic, but now because of the restrictions you won't actually be able to take that to a tournament. But there are 67 lists, so a lot of it is going to be catered for. As I mentioned in the previous video, making lists and theory crafting is one of my favourite things to do, and judging by the comments, a lot of people like to do that as well. I was worried about that when I started reading the article, and then once I finished it, my concerns were largely alleviated. This Legions of Mordor list that we're going to tackle does have a lot of options. Obviously nowhere near as many as we're used to, but you can build it in a number of ways, and I'm sure there's going to be lots more lists that you can build in similar ways, so there will be flexibility. You could play two Legions of Mordor lists against each other and they'd be very different from each other. There's also still going to be a meta. There's definitely going to be lists and builds within the list that are the best way to run that list. And sometime next year there's going to be this Armies of Lord of the Rings book or Armies of Middle-earth book, which is characters from the book and characters that Games Workshop have invented that are in the game that haven't gone to legacies, such as the Dragon Emperor or the Beornings. They're going to come and shake things up all over again. It's going to take a while to settle, and it's going to be a very exciting time to be involved in the Middle-earth strategy battle game. Let's talk about some specific lists. The first of the three that they reveal is the Reclamation of Osgiliath. All the lists here are based on scenes from the film, and this is a beauty. It's the army from the extended edition of the Two Towers, just before Denethor arrives at Osgiliath, and it's all about Boromir and Faramir. There's Warriors of Minas Tirith, Rangers of Gondor, Knights of Gondor and Osgiliath veterans as warrior options, and they'll be being led by Boromir, Faramir, Madril or Captains of Minas Tirith. It looks like Faramir is going to be in full ranger mode. There's no horse option, and it looks like his bow will be baked in, but he's still had a points increase, and he wasn't a popular choice before, so I'm expecting Faramir to get a pretty decent buff. Boromir can rock his usual war gear, and he has to be included in the list. This is the scene where he reclaims Osgiliath, so that does make sense. I'd anticipate a generic Minas Tirith list and or a Faramir holding Osgiliath list too. There are 3 special rules. Remember this day, little brother. Lets Boromir and Faramir spend each other's might, will and fate as if it was their own. And I love this rule. If you've been following Two Trees for a little while, you'll know that me and Louis and Aaron each pitch each other a legendary legion every now and again, and we pretty much had this exact rule in our version of this list. Very happy to see it there. Friendly models getting the Mountain Dweller special rule. This is going to help them charge over difficult terrain like the debris that litters Osgiliath. And once per game, Boromir can give his "For Gondor" cry, which will grant all warriors within 6 inches of him +1 to wound. I really like those rules. It feels thematic but not overpowered on paper, and 600 points is going to get you Boromir kitted out, Faramir, Madril, 8 Rangers, 8 Veterans, 8 Minas Tirith with spears, and 8 Knights of Gondor. There might be a few points left over, give or take, but that's 32 models of warriors, and then the heroes. Plenty to play with. You've got the Fight 4 on the Minas Tirith warriors, which obviously isn't as good as it used to be. You've got a pretty solid defense. You've got cavalry, bows, lots to go at, and it really captures the feel of that scene in the film. You put that down, everybody knows what they're looking at. If they're a new player and they've only seen the 2 towers, they're going to be very happy to play against that. I suppose, unless they only watch the theatrical cut. But that's by the by. It's the Legions of Mordor, which is essentially the evil half of the Battle of Pelennor Fields. They've promised us that Harad and the army of Gothmog will be coming to focus in on more specific moments of the battle. This is more of a broad sweep. You can pick and choose and focus on what you like from the Battle of Pelennor Fields. The list's got the Witch King, Gothmog, Ringwraiths, the Mumuk War Leader, Guritz, the Enforcer, Harad, Easterlings. There's loads to go at. There's a catapult. But there's only one special rule, and it's that friendly hero models may re-roll rolls of a natural 1 when making strikes against enemy heroes. I guess this is because the Witch King kills Theoden in that battle, but it's a deliberately underwhelming rule. As the article says, the value in this list is from its flexibility, and with the restrictions to other lists, that flexibility is more powerful than ever. Harad has to lead Harad, Easterlings have to lead Easterlings, and Mordor has to lead Mordor. Other than that, you can pick and choose as you want. If you wanted just captains and warriors, you could do that. In fact, you could get 2 Morannon captains, 2 Harad chieftains, 24 Morannon orcs, and 24 Haradrim for your 600 points. It's 52 models, you put it down, you say it's Pelennor Fields, let's go. Or you could get the Witch King, a troll, an Easterling captain, 12 Morannons and 12 Easterlings for your 600 points. It's a completely different army, and that's without mentioning the Mumuk War Leader or the Enforcer or Guritz. There's loads of ways you can build this, but it's not going to disrupt the theme too much. We're not going to be chucking Gullivar in, and that's probably a good thing. Before I move on to the last list, it's worth noting that the Witch King and Ringwraiths have changed quite a lot. They're now prescribed the amount of might, will and fate that they get. They're also prescribed an amount of attacks, and Ringwraiths have gone up to 2 attacks. Now these guys are mounted on Felbeast, so presuming that a Felbeast stays at 2 attacks, it's probably not going to make too much difference, but I'm interested to see what they do with those in other lists. And is there power building, and this is the most powerful they are for the Battle of Pelennor Fields, the Witch King's got his crown, all that stuff. So are we going to see 1 attack Ringwraiths in and around Weathertop style lists? Who knows? I'm looking forward to finding out. The third list revealed in full is Ride Out With Me, and it's based on the specific moment that Aragorn and Theoden draw swords together and charge out from Helm's Deep. The options are King Theoden, Aragorn, Legolas, Gamling and Captains of Rohan all on horses, Riders of Rohan and Royal Guard. In terms of restriction, the list must include Theoden, and riders don't count toward bow limits. To me, that says we're probably not going to be getting new plastic Riders of Rohan, which is a shame. Hopefully that resource has gone into another plastic kit, maybe Elves, maybe Numenor. I'll just cross my fingers and hope. And there's a few things to note here before we talk special rules. Firstly, Theoden comes with a shield as standard. in the scene in the film, he doesn't have his shield, and that's not sculpted onto the model, so I'm very surprised that's not optional in terms of being exactly like it is in the film. It should be an optional shield. And in theory, you could field this list as Theoden, Riders of Rohan, and Legolas mounted on a horse. Aragorn doesn't have to be in this list. I guess that so it can run at lower points values maybe, but that's going to play very differently. If you've got Legolas and an unlimited amount of Riders of Rohan with bows, it just doesn't play thematically, and it's a way that you could metaify the list. But I love the special rules and the way it's intended to be played. I'll go through those now. It looks difficult to use, but super fun. All cavalry have to charge when they move, and when they do charge, they gain +1 strength and can re-roll ones in the dual roll. All the models in the list are also fearless, and once per game, Gimli can blow the horn of the hammer hand and make all friendly cavalry cause terror. I'm loving all of that. I think a lot of channels, including this one, are a little hyper-focused on what's meta, what's on table 1, what's powerful. Most people, 90% of players, just want to put the models down and have a good time. They're not concerned about winning. You're just rocking up because you've painted some models you like, you enjoy the hobby, you enjoy the films, and you want to have a good time. This list is perfect for that. It may well be the most powerful list that comes out, but on the face of it, it just looks like a good time, and I'm here for it. I want to use it, and I'm hoping to get a game against it as well. So the last few bits on army building before we look at the brand new model from the War of the Rohirrim. There's a few hints at some other lists, like Minas Morgul, which will let your orcs use the Blades of the Dead. At the moment, Blades of the Dead let you wound against the opponent's courage. I'm assuming that's the same, although now low courage is actually a good thing, so mechanically, I'm not sure exactly how that'll work, but I'm sure it'll be very good. Assault on Ravenhill will be based around the heroes aiming to bring down Azog atop Ravenhill. I wonder if eagles might also make an appearance there. The 3 trolls can now be upgraded to be fielded at higher points levels, and the one I'm most looking forward to is the Road to Helm's Deep. I was building it for Throne of Schools in 2020, basically the one that was cancelled for COVID, and it never got used. It's never been on the channel. In fact, I'm going to get some out now, 1 second. So this is the list I'm looking forward to most. It's the Road to Helm's Deep. I was painting it for Throne of Schools in 2020, and I'm just so excited to get it used. I've got Legolas and Gimli mounted on a horse, gambling with his banner. I even did part of the evil half, so I've got a decent amount of Wag Riders with Sharko and his guys, although I am worried about that list. If Orc captains maybe won't be able to take Wags, what's going to happen to Sharko? But I know we talked about that before. But I just want a good Wag attack, and it might be a board I build next, but we're going to let the Patreons decide on that one. Anyway, with 68 army lists, and a lot of them being broad like Mordor, I'm quite hopeful. Definitely, if I had to choose the old system or the new system, I would 100% choose the new system. There are definitely cons to it though, and basically I'm going to put it in the same category as the lessening of equipment. I want to play a few games and have a little time with it before I make any kind of judgment. Right, let's talk about the new model from the War of the Rohirrim film. This is Hera, the Bride of Death. The name just makes me think of Kill Bill more than anything, I'm not going to lie. And me and Aaron have been debating this one. It's actually my least favourite of all the new sculpts, but he loves her. It's the only one where I feel they've not quite captured her likeness, and I'm really surprised she's not got a horse, but I am anticipating getting another Hera model as well, which should come foot and mounted. I can't wait to see what else is coming out. It's such an exciting time to be in this hobby. And thank you to the couple of new patrons that signed up after yesterday's video. Hopefully you've watched the Patreon exclusive video that dropped today. 3 videos in a week, that was never the plan. But I am going to let you know now that Gandalf and his light up staff didn't happen. I'm sorry to disappoint you patrons, but I had a little go at making a battery or a switch, and there's LEDs and it didn't work. So now what I've got to do is edit this video, paint up a Gandalf, base a few guys, paint some shields, practice game with Theo tomorrow. Aaron and Louis and Leon turn up tomorrow night, and then it's tournament weekend. If there's any news released from now until Monday, you're going to have to just wait a little bit for your Two Trees fix, because I'll be at Throne of Schools. It's been a long time coming and I cannot wait. Well, I'll review up soon. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again soon.